Hello guys, your favorite trans person here, and Bryan Mullins has seemingly decided to get a hate boner for trans people. I don't know why, but it's been happening. Right now, one of the videos I'm covering is out. The other one I'll cover this video when it gets released, but let's focus on the first one, okay? Break out the thumbnail. 5 reasons I hate the transgender bathroom debate. I hope this video actually has some decent points I could possibly agree with, instead of some stupid shit. But it's Bryan Mullins the Fox. What are we expecting here? We ain't expecting quality. We are expecting fucking trash, boy. Let's get to it, though.
3. You can make your own choices as a trans person that run as a complete detriment to your health and body entirely, but you can't force people, much less children, to comply to your desires and choices either way, because that would be almost tantamount to grooming.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, this actually comes from nowhere if you actually watch the video. It just comes from fucking nowhere. Like, what the fuck are you on about? Like, the 2 reasons before this, they're fine, I guess, but what the fuck are you talking about, Bryan, over here? Like, I'm actually confused. What the fuck are you talking about? And not to mention, this is the same guy that says it's okay to Photoshop children in a sexual manner. Like, what the fuck would you know about grooming? He says, OMG, comply with your desires would be tantamount to grooming. Like, what fucking desires? What does, like, sexual desires or whatever the fuck he's talking about have to do with bathrooms? The fuck?
And 5. Bastardizing science and biology for the sake of owning dim bigots online and IRL is completely fucking retarded, and it's going completely counter to your own movement.
This is probably him trying to take a stab at, like, people that identify as the 72 genders. If he means, like, everybody, including trans people, I'm just like, fuck you. Hell, you didn't even understand why people fucking transition. I personally believe, like, yeah, we can just have 3 genders. Non-binary, male, female. That's me personally, but I don't really care. Like, who the fuck is going to go over 71 genders? At least 71 according to Google. I personally believe we should just go with the 3. Non-binary, male, female. As genders, anyways. So this is kind of agree to a certain standard, I guess. But I assume he also means transgender people, so if he did mean that, yeah, fuck you, Bryan.
But, similarly, I don't want to trivialize biology and say you can make up whatever gender you feel like you are instead of your biological one and say fuck all science and biology. I'm not playing the centrist to cover for the left. I'm not playing the centrist to cover for the right. This is just objectivity in opinion form.
Another attack on transgender people by Bryan Mullins. Again, have to agree to a certain point, because I only believe in the 3 genders, male, female, and non-binary. And also, intersex people do exist, so saying that there's only 2 sexes, or 2 biological genders, is technically wrong. There are people born with certain parts of females and certain parts of males. So, yeah, they exist. There isn't only 2 genders. I mean, 2 biological genders.
Because at the end of the day, there are far more important issues than just the transgender bathroom bullshit.
Like, the rest of it was like, OMG, there's more important stuff than these tranny bathrooms. And then started being like, OMG, Trump, I lost his respect in 2020. But if he doesn't disappoint me, I'll get on my hands and knees and give him a blowjob if he does a good job at being the president. That's basically all the rest of the video was. So yeah, I can't wait for the new video to come out. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a long wait. But yeah, unfortunately, the next trans video isn't going to be out until next month. That's right, we're going to be waiting a month for this Bryan Mullins video to come out, aka the one you're watching, that you probably didn't know about beforehand. But luckily for us, it's set as a premiere, so looking at the description, let's make some assumptions of what the fuck is gonna happen. So let's get to it. Okay, let's go over the chapter names. Number 1, Introduction, self-explanatory. Chapter 2, Truth about Trans Culture, which is probably going to be him insulting most of Twitter. I feel like that's what's going to happen. History of experiments and truth about being trans. He's probably going to say some shit like it doesn't exist or whatever the fuck. Chapter 5, Problems with Trans Culture. Probably insulting Twitter again. Chapter 6, Why Transitioning is a poor coping mechanism. It's really not. It isn't at all. Chapter 7, What People Should Do About It. Okay, he's going to be like, you're only transitioning because you want to lose weight. Why don't you just lose weight then? Because he did that fucking before the last goddamn episode. Chapter 8, The Hypocrisy of the Anti-Trans Movement. Didn't you literally say people were transitioning because they were fucking fat? Sorry, but you're fucking dumb and you don't know shit. Chapter 9, Rant segment about instant hostility towards criticisms. If you're calling your last video criticism, you're fucking stupid. Chapter 10, Conclusion. So, I can't wait till this drops to make himself look fucking stupid and retarded. And of course, he used Google AI to check his video. Because Google AI, that sure will help you. It won't. You will still sound retarded, like your roast game theory. It's February 2nd. I've been waiting so fucking long for the video to come out. God damn, it's taking fucking forever, Bryan. Hurry the fuck up. God damn. Anyway, since I'm bored, Bryan decided to enter the mongrel drama thing with Gilded Pooh. Mostly because he hates Gilded Pooh. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why he's fucking talking about it. I'm not going to bore you with the entire thing. I'm just going to clip it a bunch. And also, I'm not going to talk much about the mongrel drama because I basically know nothing. So, let's get to it. This is probably going to be interesting.
I'm going to have to defend the person, Mongrel, not the action she was trying to do, but the person only, just for trying to expose a groomer in a server at the time it was run by a minor. Gee, I wonder who the hell thought that was a great idea to let a minor run a Discord server with adult groomers in it, alongside with other predatory minors who are just the enablers of such.
Oh no, the poor groomers. How dare these children just push them to groom guys. Those poor groomers that were possibly, grooming children to think like them and think this shit is okay. OMG, think about the groomers, guys. Think about the groomers.
I mainly am going to respond to the meat, as in the heaviest of what would be rarely and vaguely considered substance of a piece of shit slop video. And I call it a slop video because it's just slop. We're also going to skip that obnoxious Brett Bonger tier narrator. It's junk. It's nothing to me. Moving on. And fuck the rest of the commentary community especially. You people always talk like you have lived in a glass house this whole time, and you're worried about someone like me for being willing to throw a stone at it, wondering if it might break the glass house you lived in, on YouTube and the internet abroad. And if it does, so be it. I hope you're lucky that you're on the bad side of history and you're not like me, who has to go through all that bullshit in order to prove a point only to be vindicated. That's obviously sarcastic. You're gonna feel like hell. And it's all gonna come crumbling down on you like the glass shards of that once to be glass house after I threw a stone in it.
Dude is literally trying to act like Jesus because, I don't know, his opinions are different from the popular opinion, I guess. Like, dude is trying to be Jesus Christ, but you literally said it was okay to have child porn in multiple videos. So, yeah, you're not going to heaven, motherfucker. The fact he's like, the rest of the SCC is bad, but I'm the good one, guys. I am the good one. Like, shut your bitch ass up, motherfucker. As if you're the good commentary person. You're fucking not. You're just fucking cringe, weird, and also have a weird thing with children. For, wanted child porn to be legalized. You're just a fucking weirdo. Don't act like you're Jesus goddamn Christ, motherfucker.
The grooming thing, I'll explain.
Okay, we're gonna have to go over this little misconception. Not acting upon intrusive thoughts doesn't make you a pedophile.
Bryan, you're still having thoughts of having sex with a child, Bryan. That makes you a fucking pedophile. What the fuck?
If anything, it has nothing to do with pedophilia at all, because we're talking about underage teenagers. Teenagers are not prepubescent fucking children.
Guys, it doesn't count as child porn because they're teenagers. You're still sexualizing a fucking minor.
Yeah, you know what else the number? What?
Okay, I know it's fucked up for what Nekopon did to that other minor, and Nani, which may or may not be a minor, sending that shit to Mongrel. The intrusive thoughts come from being groomed herself.
I went to an actual victim of, child essay about this, saying, hey, do you have intrusive thoughts about fucking kids? And they said, what the fuck? No. By the way, same guy from the last video. I could probably go to multiple grooming victims and get the same response. The fact that you're like, oh, but this is a thing of mongrel getting groomed. All grooming victims have this mentality or some shit like that. No, motherfucker. Mongrel's just probably a fucking pedophile.
Who the hell are these parents and where the fuck are they? Because they're not anywhere to be found if this is allowed to happen, and this was allowed to happen. But you can't blame Nekopon, the minor who runs the Discord server, or the other predatory minors. You can just—
Guys, it's all these predatory fucking children getting these groomers. These goddamn children are just influencing groomers, guys. Think about the groomers. But seriously, though, fucking predatory children. Predatory children. May I repeat that? Predatory children. What the fuck? I looked at all of his videos on the Mongrel situation, and yeah, I'm not really convinced that Mongrel isn't a pedophile, but at the same time, I don't know the exact situation. So, if this is something that's like, oh, maybe I'll convince a few people that he, whatever the fuck Mongrel is, that not a pedophile. I think you did the opposite, buddy. Not gonna lie. Since, your stance on child porn and everything, I think you're doing the opposite. And let's not mention, yeah, from what I've seen of the video linked in the description, it doesn't really seem like they're clearing their name that much, but more like these people also did something bad kind of thing, from what I've seen anyways. But this video, the newer video, yeah, it really convinces me that the opposite is true. And that's all I really have to say, unless I find another Bryan Mullins video before the fucking trans video. His, third video on trans people? Some shit like that. So, I'll see ya later. The video I've been waiting for is finally fucking out. It only took, a few fucking weeks. Fuck you, Bryan, by the way, for doing this shit. But anyways, let's get to watching this garbage.
Before we get into the interesting depths and histories of transitioning and gender reassignment therapy and gender dysphoria, let's just get this out of the way. And even before we get into the fact that being trans or someone being trans is a poor coping mechanism that has bodily harm attached to it. So,
oh my gosh, it's just a cope with bodily harm. It really isn't a cope at all. And obviously it's going to affect your body. I mean, you're changing from male to female. Of course you're going to have some bodily harm with that shit. Like, I swear, this motherfucker just wants everything to be perfection. Like, OMG, you were born as a male and you identify as a male, and that's the only way you have to live. We will see more of that later throughout the video, but like, goddamn, shut the fuck up.
What I mean when I just said acceptance, I don't mean that I accept that being trans comes without consequence, nor does it mean that I would allow children, much less any adult, to transition and go through gender reassignment therapy, all for the purpose of trying to alleviate the pains of being a biological male or female, because you just can't handle it. Fuck your feelings, man or woman. It just doesn't come without fear of societal isolation, without discrimination either way. And it doesn't come without something being forced on either an adult or a child. That's not only where I draw the line, but I'd go one step further. Anyone who suggests that this kind of shit should be or should stay legal is anti-human and insane.
So we draw the line at, people just being trans in general. Not just children, adults too. Adults, people that can think on their own, etc., etc. Not even those people. We stop the line there, but we don't stop the line at somebody owning child porn. Bryan, you're fucked up. All this can really boil down to is, it offends my norm, so I don't like it. It offends me, so it must be banned. They did that with the gays. Guess what? Gays still exist.
To revolutionize the discussion surrounding gender dysphoria, transphobia, gender reassignment surgery, and you guessed it, so-called trans rights, which in a rant video I made long ago proved that not only are they not rights, but they're predatory privileges.
You mean the same video where you were saying some transphobic shit, being like, OMG, look at the consequences of fucking transitioning, guys. Oh my god, look at this list. And not, separating them between trans women and trans men. The same video where you imply that people are transitioning because they're fat and overweight. The same video where you binge and whine because, oh my god, body autonomy, body blah, 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 because it offends your sensibilities. You mean the same video where you reveal yourself to look like an ex-KKK member? The same video where you look like you'd be saying white power on a bus filled with black people? That video?
If you don't feel comfortable with your gender, suck it up and fucking deal with it, you sons of bitches and sons of bastards, or daughters of bitches and daughters of bastards, whatever, I don't care. Violating bodies and supposed autonomy for the sake of going against your own body or their own bodies and supposed integrity is an absolute disgrace and an abundance of complete logical retardation. You just can't have it both ways. Not only does it encourage more adults and even children to get down with gender dysphoria because it feels oh so good to be trans after the fact, despite all the consequences and the cons outweighing the pros, it also enables this predatory culture that enables and even normalizes the sexualization of prepubescent.
Oh my god. You're telling me a major decision in my life has consequences to the major decisions in my life? Oh my god, who would have fucking thought? Oh, holy shit, a major decision in my life is affecting me majorly. Oh my god. Guys, maybe I shouldn't be trans anymore. Bro, you sound retarded. Like, of course there's going to be consequences into trying to transition to a woman or a woman transitioning into a male. Either way, there is consequences, no matter what. And the cons really depends on who the fuck you hang out with. Yeah, sure, there's like the effects I listed in the past video. Like, no shit. I'm pretty sure everyone that transitioned knows the fucking consequences of transitioning. Like, no brainer, no shit. Like, I could replace trans with gay people and then, do the same amount of research as Bryan over here. And be like, OMG, being gay has a lot of consequences compared to the positives. Like, at minimum, you're being like, oh yeah, there's consequences. At most, you're just being fucking transphobic as shit. And now let's talk about children, which shouldn't be doing this shit anyways. Like, why the fuck are children doing this shit? I do not fucking stand. And it's like mostly US children from what I've seen. Around my area, there's like no children doing this shit. But yeah, I agree. Like, if children are doing this shit, that's a problem. If adults are doing this shit, who the fuck gives a shit? And the sexualization of prepubescent, that has been here before trans people. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Bryan? Bryan, you literally supported drugs of children. Not just children doing sex. Like, you're just a fucking hypocrite here.
I'll get into more detail on all that shit in a later chapter, possibly chapter 6. But for now, so-called trans culture is just there for everyone to be forced into accepting an otherwise predatory culture that would make sexual education before puberty a more viable and acceptable strategy to combat predation like this than trans people could ever dream of doing for themselves.
Oh yeah, LFC1, where he's like, OMG, we should do this, that, instead of, making child porn illegal. But remember, child porn is different from child exploitation. Even though you can just Photoshop a child in a sexual way, like I supported in LFC1. I'm surprised he still hasn't changed his mind about that one.
However, research in the 1970s began to show that transition services such as medical or surgical interventions were somehow supposedly the best way to treat gender dysphoria. Boy, were they all wrong.
Damn, I can't wait for Albert Einstein to disprove this method of, helping people with gender dysphoria with transitioning. Wonder how he's going to cure gender dysphoria without, supported the idea of letting people transition. Wonder what his cure will be.
The classification of transgender people as mentally ill. That was a tragic mistake. And here's the truth about being trans. It's not about being able to cope with being born a certain sex, because it's a piss-poor coping mechanism. The truth about being trans is that it's a lost cause. It is pretty much all in the head. Why would anyone want to dress as a woman, wants to be a woman, and wants to identify as a woman to change everything in the birth record if it weren't something to do with her mental psyche being completely off and degenerate?
You're right, it is out of the norm if we're using degenerate in that kind of term. Yeah, it is out of the norm. But to act like it's a mental illness compared to other mental illnesses, yeah, I don't think it's a mental illness, to be honest. And also, gotta love how he's like, who would wear women's clothing? Have you seen YouTube? Have you watched YouTube ever at all? There's several men that dress up like women. Heck, some of them even look like a fucking woman. So far, most of Bryan's stuff is like, it offends my sensibilities, therefore it's bad. That's just been the gist of this video the entire fucking time. Also, if you want to bring up degeneracy, you literally supported child porn's right to exist.
Creating more of the problem because they're unable to cope at all. And this is 100% the parents' fault, and it's the fault of anyone who's responsible for promoting the idea of a society that's damn near completely sexually repressed. And we'll get to the nitty-gritty of the truth in the next chapter.
Killer. No. I'm not homophobic, Dust.
Dust.
Oh no. I'm about to dust. No, no, no! I'm about to die! Horror. I'm hungry. You know what? Give me a burger now.
Merely feeling better about your newly preferred gender is exactly like feeling better about being fat, morbidly obese, and frankly miserable for validation points. It's not only not a proper coping mechanism, but it's also just as easy to say that you're doing alright as to say that you're not doing well at all. This culture is so fucking toxic, it reeks of mental weakness, sexual deprivation, and even sometimes comes as a result of sexual grooming by a predator or two.
Again, this boils down to, this offends my sensibilities. And if you're doing this, you must be miserable like a fat person. Nya, nya, nya. And then again, somehow we get to like, OMG, this is part of sexual deprivation. Why? Because you're a fucking incel that can't get pussy, Bryan? You can't get a little bit of pussy, Bryan? Because you're retarded as shit? You can't get pussy, my guy? And somehow, this wraps to fucking child porn, because fuck it, I guess. Because this, fucking social thing is toxic, or whatever the fuck. It's just mostly him bitching and whining. He can't get bitches and he thinks trans people are bad. Or being trans is bad. Some shit like that.
Now it all comes down to one simple question. What should people do about all of this? The problem with this question itself is, it isn't a one-set thing or deal we're dealing with. It should and will be multi-pronged in nature. Number 1, don't transition from one gender to another if you're not willing to accept that there are consequences to your actions of doing so. 2, if you did or are going to anyway despite my advice, don't, because of all the harm that going with your feelings, not the facts as they stands as a testament as to a lack of self-trust and self-control with one's own body. Number 3, don't encourage a shitty culture enabling and promoting not only the toxicity of it in itself, but also the predatory privileges that comes with it as well. And finally, number 4, get rid of any unnecessary legislation or legislature that discriminates against cis men and women who aren't trans and vice versa. As in, get rid of any discriminatory law against trans people as well. And
yeah, this would be a decent point. Only if there was laws discriminating against non-trans people. Yeah, I don't know any fucking laws that would discriminate against non-trans people. Like, none at all. You see, it doesn't make sense because it does not fucking exist.
the hypocrisy of the so-called anti-trans movement is multiple things at once. Number 1, it stems from a culture and society that promotes and propagates sexual deprivation and repression. Literal fuel for gender dysphoria sufferers. Now here's the explanation for that. Being sexually repressed and deprived created trans people and enabled the very problem of gender dysphoria that existed far before even then.
No? What the fuck? Oh yeah, it's because we were restrained from our sexual urges to become a woman. That's why trans people exist, because they were just restraining our ability to jerk off to furry porn. What the fuck? No, it's not because of sexual deprivation that people are like, oh yes, I want to become the opposite gender. No, it's not because of that. You're retarded if you think it's that. It's basically, hey, I want to become the opposite gender. That's essentially the end of the discussion. Like, I really want to be this opposite gender, but my body doesn't allow it, so I'm going to get surgery and become, the opposite gender. And not because, I can't jerk off enough. I cannot jerk off enough. I have to become the opposite gender right now. Bryan, you're retarded. Okay, there isn't, anything else I really need to respond to, but yeah, I was off on my predictions, yet the video still sucked. Honestly, that Etika meme? It could have been replaced with, me when I see trans people. Or me when I see gender dysphoric people transition. You should kill yourself now! Exactly like that. It just has the fucking, white text with black background. You know, all that shit. With the fucking Etika meme. It could have been replaced with that, and it would have made as much sense as this did. Anyways, I can't wait until the next video of Bryan where he dogs on gay people and then black people, where it's like, why gay people marrying should not be a thing. Why not owning black slaves should not be a thing. You should only own the black ones. You know, I can't wait until he makes those videos. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.